Hi, very good morning. We'll start today's discussion and today's discussion with constructor. And just I'll share the screen. So constructor. What is actually the constructor? Uh, Constructor is a special method that is called when an object is instantiated. Special method. That particular word is important. Okay, it looks like a method, but it is not a method because method should have return type. And I'll show you how return type will make a difference for the constructor and for a method. And the purpose of Java constructor is to initialize the newly created object before it is used. That word, I'll repeat, before it is used. That means it will instantiate an object. Now you are not at all using that, but before that itself, constructor will be invoked. How it is that we'll see. Generally, the syntax of constructor is you are having some class A, and uh, if it is constructor means it is with the same name as A. See, find the similarity. You created class A, and that itself like a method. Open brace, close brace. This is what. But you might have surprised, like so far we have already finished 2 units, and we are not at all used this particular constructor anywhere. Is it not? It is something like we never come across, even though we studied 2 units. Means what? Is it not? So that we will see today, because you have discussed so many methods. Is it not? I written so many programs, like I'll show you. Like we written some class A, and there we written public static void main. Is it not like that method which takes string arguments, all these things? But nowhere we mentioned any constructor. But friends, please remember, whenever you are creating any object, a new using new operator, you are writing that. You are writing the constructor. But this is called default constructor. Automatically it will invoke default constructor. In every class there will be a default constructor that will be invoked when you are creating, when you are instantiating. Okay, so that is what our today's discussion. And there are two types of constructor actually, that is default constructor and parameterized constructors. See, default constructor means what? If I write class A, and this will be default, it will not necessary to write that explicitly unless it is not needed. Okay, now public static void main, like that I'll use our as usual method, and there if I create one object of type A, see, this is what default constructor. And this may be important question for you. Two types of constructors: default constructors, parameterized constructor. How to write default constructor? It is like this. Don't write any return type. Name, open brace, close brace. okay, and flower bracket. And when you are creating the object, default constructor will invoke. And this is optional default constructor, even though if you not write, automatically it will take it. So that is what the advantage of default constructor. And anyway, I written inside the class itself. And if you are having some other class, and it is also having default constructor, and when you are creating the object of type B, that default constructor will be invoked. So far, what we written when we created the object is constructor itself. So the definition of constructor is to instantiate. Okay, that particular word is very important. Constructor is for instantiating, allocating. Memory allocation takes place when you invoke the constructor. A new operator will do that by invoking constructor. So whatever the initialization you are doing, that will be through constructor. Just now I'll share the demo screen. See, we'll look into some particular class. I written one class A, public static void main string, and just I written one statement that is lockdown something I am printing. Okay, now see this. Okay, if you are having any doubt, you please look into this. Uh, you can any page can have any number of constructor. Okay, like in class, any number of classes, and you have to write some method. Like I am having one method m1 inside this, and in the last class you understood method means what. Method should have return type. It is not returning anything, just void. To invoke this method, what I have to do inside, because any number of class okay, but somewhere main should be there where the invocation starts, execution starts, is it not? Just I return this main method inside class AAA. That's why I named this as AAA. All these things you already know. Anyway, you please remember, mm, to invoke inside this public static void main, I am instantiating ff to invoke the method in ff. Is it not? Using object ob.m1, I am calling that. This is what the usual way how we are doing the things. Is it not? Now, see, let us consider AI is also having one method, M2. Okay. So how to invoke M2? It is not possible, even though like main is residing inside class AA, it is not possible to write M2. I'll call that method. See, it is showing an error. It is telling that cannot make a reference to some non-static. All this information you'll come to know later. But for time being, error, it is not able to identifying what is M2. Even though, see, main is inside AAA, okay, FF is something different, is it not? Outside this class itself. But M2 is inside the class itself, and I am invoking from there itself, but I am not able to getting that. Why? Because that's what, whatever you define inside a class, that is instance method, instance variable. So how to do that? Inside main also you have to create object of type AAA. Then using that object, you can invoke. See, now no error. You are getting the output. What actually inside M2 that you will get. Okay. So if somebody confused like why, how you have written method inside a class which already contains any number of methods you can write inside a class. Okay, there is no restriction. Any number of methods depending on the memory size you can write. You can write the method in different class also, and you can also write where main resides. There also you can use many methods. Okay, and how to invoke? Once again, I have to create the object of that class and I have to invoke. That's all. Even though it is inside the same class where main resides. Okay, and that information. Okay, next. See, one more important information for all of you, that is, see, I am having only one method inside AAA, is it not? And just my interest is just to display this. That is, just I'll write one statement itself, system dot out dot. See, the advantage of using Eclipse is this itself. As soon you will type that, you'll get that syntax. Mm, Today, something like. And like if I execute, definitely the output will come. See, today lockdown, is it not? M2 first it will invoke, and anyway I have not written anything in M1, so mm, the purpose is not here. Anyway, just M2 I defined. Now, see, is it possible instead of writing like this, creating object of AA and OB2? Okay, see, instead of writing like this, what I will do is I will not create the explicitly object, but I'll write new AAA r dot M2. See, I'll write like this. That means this OB1, because I instantiated new AAA and I assigned that to OB1, and using OB1 I am writing. I am invoking the method M2. Instead of doing that, OB1 I'll replace with new AAA directly and I'll invoke. Okay. So that's how you can write, because if you are not interested to create an object using this particular way, you can invoke. I think it's clear. Now I'll come to in last uh, previous day's question. Okay, see this, uh, the same concept. uh, I told whatever the code you wanted to modify, you have to do that in system.print there itself, is it not? So how to do that? It will not allow to create any object inside this. Okay, you can't create any AAOB. All these things are not possible inside this. So what I will do is I will create new and AAA, that particular invocation I will do. Okay, that invocation I will do, and a method using that I will invoke the method M2. It is showing an error. What is the error? I think all of you have got this, but you have to read the error. Error is operator plus is undefined for the argument of type string, because this creates this new AAA. When you are invoking this method, okay, it is not returning anything, is it not? It is not returning, and you know that uh, whenever you are appending with plus, okay, it should either typecast into string type, because it will append with the string. Anything is appending with the string is typecasted into string. That conversion is very much needed. This it will not consider as a string. So what I will do is I will make this as string type. I'll make this a string type, and I'll return something. You can return today itself, or you can return any particular thing in double quotes, that itself enough. Instead of writing one letter, gap or whatever. See, it is now returning string, and then there is no problem for this particular system.out.print. And if I execute, you will get the answer. See, lockdown AA is returning. Okay, and that will be appended with this. That's why you are getting the output. Many of you have this doubt. That's why I'm showing this. Why the output will come? Because it is string type. And instead of string type, if I make it int, because any primitive data type you can make it. I'll make it return 0. There is no problem in a method. See this? You'll get that. Okay, because it will be typecasted, because you know that answer, like if any variable I declare and if I give 0 in the place of this, it will work, is it not? Because it is typecasted into that integer type. Okay, like that, if you are having a double and return type is and 0, okay, then also you will get the output. Okay, so this is how the entire process will work. You please remember, like, okay, forget this. Just when you are creating the object also, like any object one, see, any name you can give for the object. Okay, don't worry, I am giving OB1, OB2 like that itself. If you are interested to give any name, you can give that also. See, actually return type is there, is it not? Double. But without return type, if I write, if I invoke, there it creates any problem? Just I'll execute. See, no problem. Return type, this is holds good for this function. It is not necessary. You can catch. You can catch using double. That's all. Okay? It's not essential at this particular stage. But see, you are not returning anything, and if you write void, this is not allowed. But you can write return type, but it's not necessary. It should be catch. Okay, so this is something about how the method and how to that return type will be considered, all these things. Okay, so please remember. I am now back to our constructor. Anyway, let it be. I'll not write any method. I'll just delete. I'm having only class, and I'm having some statement. That's all. Delete this also, and let it be lockdown only. That method invocation and all will delete. Okay, see this. Just I created one object of type AAA. See, this program will work, and constructor I have written. Is it not? Constructor I have written. And if I write default constructor, how it looks? It looks like this. Okay? And let us consider this statement. I'll copy and I'll paste inside the constructor. Inside the constructor. Lockdown 1, lockdown 2, like that will write. Okay, being an intelligent Java students, is it possible to tell what is the output if I execute this program? ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ನಿದ್ದೆಯಿಂದ ಎದ್ದಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಗೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿ. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದರೊಳಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾನ್ಶಿಯೇಟಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಮೇನ್. ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್? What output you will get if you execute? ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಲಾಜಿಕ್, ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ, ಇದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಎರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಬರುತ್ತಾ, ಆರ್ ಎರಡು ಬರಲ್ವಾ, ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಬರುತ್ತಾ? Because so far we not use a default constructor. Just I am writing one default constructor. What you are expecting? Come on, be fast. You type your answer. What you will get? Lockdown 1 or lockdown 2 or both? See, for the language classes, you should be interactive. Otherwise, there will not be any fun. Lockdown 2, lockdown 2 you are expecting, and somebody is defining both. Okay, see uh, how this particular logic works. I'll just execute lockdown 1, lockdown 2. How it is? Because that is what constructor. See, as soon you define new AIA, it invokes this method. ನೀವು ಇದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅದು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ. Control will go there and it will print this statement. So far we not used default constructor, so we are not knowing that. Okay, so that's what constructor means, that which will invoke. See, I'll show you one more fun here. Just I'll return type. I'll write return type. Now what happens? ಈಗ ಗೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ? ಈಗ ವಾಯ್ಡ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತು. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಲಾಂಗರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋಬೋದಾ? ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ನೌ. Okay, anyway, I will not waste the time. Just I'll execute this and I'll show you the output. Oh, lockdown 2. Why? See one particular keyword, how it will make the difference. ಅದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು. See this constructor, when you invoked, okay, fine, it is working. But when you added a return type void, it turns into a method. ಈಗ ಆ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿ ಡಾಟ್, is it possible to do like this? Let me see. Now it is coming. See the difference. Okay, that's what I told, how to differentiate between constructor and a method. I think it's clear, is it not? Okay, that's about default constructor for every class. Okay, every class. See, I'm also having one more FFF. There also we'll write FF default constructor, and I'll write one more lockdown 3 to this particular class. See, now if you create just a new object to beta, just if you create new FF, that itself enough. The constructor will be invoked. They are not called any method, is it not? See, if you invoke, that will print lockdown 3. See, that's what constructor. Now, see, that is default constructor. You know, like earlier we used to write weight and height and all, is it not? Let us consider double ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ inside box. Okay, width, height, or only two I'll take. Okay. Width and height I define, and anything I wanted to initialize, I used to note that width for object dot width means this, object dot height means that. Like that I used to define, is it not? Now what we'll do is we'll initialize here itself. Width is equal to some 10, height is equal to 10, and I hope you not forget that we are having one method that is double volume or something, is it not, which will return width multiplied height ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. This is what it's doing. Now, like b dot volume, I'll catch this to double type and I'll invoke the method b dot wall. Okay, so along with lockdown, we'll print the value also. Lockdown 2 plus dd. Okay, now see, always whenever for the string you are appending, okay, all primitive data types will be appended. So double and ಮತ್ತೆ type cast ಮಾಡೋದೇನು ಬೇಡ. Now see this, usually what you'll get the output 100 supposed to be, is it not? 100 you are getting. Now see, once again I'll create one more object. b1 is equal to new one more object, and I wanted to define same thing for that also. Again I want that volume be one model. So I am invoking the one more object, okay, that is dd1. What value you'll get? 200, is it not? See, that is what the problem if you initialize in the particular constructor itself. Okay, because for every particular object it will initialize this value itself. If you want all the objects should have same value, you can do like this, but according to different value I am passing, I wanted to get the output, then this method will not be suitable. Just I will delete this. One way is you have to define here itself b dot width, b dot height means what, or b1 dot width, b1 dot height means what. That is one way. And another way is, what I'll do is I'll pass from here itself. See this, I am passing, but it is showing an error because it is not having such constructor. So that is called parameterized constructor. That means I'll catch h, and this I'll assign width is equal to w or height is equal to h. Like that I'll initialize. See, that's where the difference. Like you can pass like this. This is default constructor and this is parameterized constructor. Now what happens? See, now we'll see what value you will get for default. For default you are getting 0 0, but for parameterized, that is second object, you are getting 200. See, b, you are not passing anything, it initializes 0 0, you are getting 0, but when you are passing the value, it is initialized to that new value, okay, and then you are getting the output by multiplication. See, that is what the strength, that is what the use of constructor, okay, parameterized constructor. Now see here one more concept just I wanted to tell, that is, see, how many names I have to remember, is it not? I defined that as a word, and here wh I am passing, and wa means width, h means height. Like that, what I am doing here is I am hiding the instance variable. Okay, what local variables w and h what I am passing, I am allocating this to our instance variable. Okay, this particular concept is called instance variable hiding. Okay, instance variable you are hiding by passing the value to that. And instead of doing like this, you are also like width itself I'll pass Now let us see uh, width and height. I'll give that name itself, and I will assign that itself. HEIGHT. This, if you do this, what happens? You are getting lockdown is 0. Okay. Why? Because it unable to identify this width and that width. It will not give any error if you are observing. Okay. There comes this operator. It tells that currently invoking object. That means you are referring currently invoking object. See this? Now when you are executing this, you are getting the output 200. See, if you not mention this, it will be confused whether that object or this object. See, a very important step actually. See the difference. Once again, I am showing. See, width and height. It will not give any error. Local variable, you are overriding for the instance variable. Okay, you are hiding instance variable because width and height is a instance variable which is defined inside that class. Is it not? Through local, I am calling this constructor. I am passing. These are local variables. This will map to width and height, and that will copy to this local. Okay, when you are executing this as it is, what happens? It unable to get this object value or that object value. It gives 0. Okay, but when you are specifying, no, this is for currently invoking object. That means what you are copying. This indicates that, because you know that for each object we are having separate memory. This object one, I think I showed this at the first class, means class of unit 3. That means module 3 first discussion, we did that. Separate memory is allocated for each object. So which object actually it is referring, that confusion will be there if you not use this operator. So please remember why this is needed. This is needed if you are using same name. Okay, if you give the different name, means that question itself will not arise. Instead of this, if I write width 1 and height 1, if that is the case, there is no, it's not necessary, is it not? Because confusion will not be there for the compiler. It directly knows that width and height means this. You will get the as expected output itself. But when you are using the same name, that conflict may arise. That's why we are using this operator. Okay, so that's what about the parameterized constructor. You please remember the example always. Okay, whenever you are creating any particular discussion, you have to represent this through example. Example should be very simple. Don't give always complex example. You create one class A, there you write default constructor A, open brace, close brace, slot bracket, and parameterized constructor define two variables and declare int a1 and ab, and you map to a and b. Okay, a is equal to a1, b is equal to b1, and after that you invoke default and you invoke parameterized. That's what about parameterized constructor. And the same thing if you are using the same method. Okay, if you are using same name ab, which is defined in the instance variable as a class, if you are assigning that, means then only this operator. Okay, so the concept is called instance variable hiding. Instance variable hiding, that means you are hiding this particular identity of these variables, which are instance variables. You are passing the value from this, and you are using that for this local variable. Okay, so that's what about this particular concept. Okay, and hope you understood. I will stop at this particular stage. In next class, don't miss very important, that is garbage collection. Thank you. Good day.